Hello, gorgeous people. Yorubas have a greeting that I learned about after I got married to a Yoruba man. It says, it's a greeting that goes, Wa jeomo, and it means that you will eat like the food from your children. And I remember, the first few times I heard it, I thought, wow, I don't like that greeting. I have come to understand this, but it's still not one of my favorite greetings. And one of the reasons why is that while by the grace of God, I want my children to do extremely, extremely well, I also want to be in a position to provide for myself very well in my old age. And that's why I'm coming to have this conversation with you. I don't know if there's anyone else out there who wonders and who thinks, how can I ensure that I have a good old age? It is one of my top concerns. I think, let's say I stop actively working at 65. I want to retire earlier than that, but I don't want to stop working. I want to have things that I'm doing. But let's say I stop working actively at 65, and by the grace of God, I live to 95 years old. That is 30 years where I might not be earning an income, or I won't be earning an income in an active way. So my thought is, how do I ensure that between that time when I'm not earning an income actively and by the grace of God, when I go to be with the Lord, that I have done and taken care of my finances in such a way that I am taken care of to my old age? Does anyone else have that fear or concern? Like, do you wonder, or do you think, how will I ensure that I'm good till I pass on by the grace of God? If this thought has ever crossed your mind, then I want you to listen to this. So I was having a conversation this weekend with someone about my wealth pot and my wealth pillars. And as we're having the conversation, I was thinking this might be a good conversation to have with you. Now, when I talk about my wealth pot, like, we're cooking jollof rice, what do you want to put in your wealth pot, right? From now, so that it will see you till that time. Some of the things I want to put in my wealth pot is real estate. And every time I have a conversation about wealth, if you check one of my earlier videos, I'll link it in the stories. I always tell you, you need to know your numbers. Know your numbers today, and you can then extrapolate for the future. So let's assume that now, to live well every year, what you need is, let's say, 30 million or 40 million naira, depending on what stage you are. Or if your kids are overseas, you probably need more. Know what that figure is, right? And then work from there. Now, if you want to continue to earn that amount of money over time, what do you need to do? So for me, one of the things I would really like in my wealth pot is real estate. So if we're working with the figure of 40 million naira a year, forgetting inflation, because the value of real estate will rise as well with the inflation that will come up in future, then I probably want to have enough real estate to give me 40 million naira, or if I want it to be half of it, 20 million naira in the course of the year. So in that case, is either you're getting 3 or 4 properties that give you, in terms of the rental sequence, people are paying maybe 3 million, 3.5 million for them, and you have 4 tenants and you're getting I'm bad at math, so please don't trust the mathematics I'm doing, but let's say 4 properties at 3.5, that's 7, so that's just 14, right? Okay, so let's say 5 properties at 3.5 and you're almost at your 20 million goal, right? So you want to think that I would like to build that. Now, the thing is not to think that, oh, it's today that I will build that. It's to think over the course of my active work life, when I make money, how am I going to be investing in real estate to get to this goal? Which also means that when you're then thinking about it, you're thinking about the location of your investment so that you continue to yield high values. Now, so that's one thing I want in my pot, real estate. The other thing I want in my pot is, your index funds, like investments in your stock market and all of that. Now, why that is so important, and in other countries, they have the thing like the S&P 500s. They have all these index funds where you have a pot. So you buy into S&P 500, that's the Standard & Poor's, and if you're buying stock from there, or you're buying they would then invest in, let's say, Facebook shares, in Apple shares, in Louis Vuitton shares, in these shares. So you are buying from them, but they are sort of managing your funds for you. I'm not sure where the equivalent is in Nigeria, and if you do know, please tag them in the comments, because I would like to interview somebody for all our benefits. Now, but where I find that actually does it well in Nigeria is actually our pension funds. If you put your money in the pension funds, even as an employee, as you can see, usually your money is growing, and they're investing in a mixed bag of funds for you, right? Of mixed bags of stock, of whatever they're investing in. I don't know what they're actually investing. So for me, in that pot, I would like to have a certain amount, which means that if you transition from full-time employment to being, an entrepreneur, you want to, one, employ 3 people, because Nigeria, for you to get an employer number in Nigeria, you have to have at least 3 people, right? So strategically, and this is what I'm saying, we have to be strategic today about where we want to be in when we're 90 and 80. So strategically employ 3 people, and no matter how small it is, contribute to your pension funds. And you're the business owner and you get a share of the profits, or a bigger share of the profit, you then add a voluntary contribution to it, so that you would have more. They would have more that they can work for you with. So let's say you're looking at your 40 million, and you had, let's say, 20 already coming in from your real estate, and you had, by the time you were finished ending your career, you had a pension fund that was up to a 50, 30, 40 million. That money, so 50, 30, 40, whatever it is, that at the time you retire, or at the time you attain 50, you can get 25%, and then the balance is paid to you as a salary over the course of your life monthly. So do you see? So that's something else to add to your pot. So from today, start creating that pot. So we've added real estate, we've added index funds, or our stocks, or so through our PFAs, we've added contributions from our pension funds. Another thing I would like in my pot are other sources of passive income. So royalties. So when you start to do well, you have your podcast on Spotify, on Apple Music. When they come to you because that podcast is doing well, and they say they want to partner with you, rather than selling the rights and then getting paid for it, even if it's a lump sum now, part of what you want to do is you want to have ownership of those things, so that forever, as they continue to use it, you're actually earning an income. Same thing with when you write books. You want to partake in the income that you're making over the long term. So I would want royalties in that. I would also want liquid cash, or cash, or close to liquid cash, right? Because of emergencies. So God forbid you have, a medical emergency, you have, God forbid, a house fire, you have this, whatever. There's cash to rely on. There's also, so there's cash to rely on. Insurance is also a great thing to have in your pot, especially, life, by that time you would have gone, but life is good. But I mean, do you know you can insure your art? And if you have good enough art, your art can be worth a lot, and you can borrow against it depending on what kind of art it is. So all the steps you are taking today are building your pot in the future. Okay, my name is Hajara Piton, and I was sharing this with you if you want to enjoy a great worry-free old age. And I was telling you about my wealth pot and my wealth pillars. I'm going to do a part 2 to this video where I talk about the pillars themselves that would drive this wealth pot, right?